Have you ever wanted to watch How to Train Your Dragon and read Moby Dick, but you can't find the time to do both? Then Netflix's Sea Beast is right up your alley. Okay, so if you know anything about my channel, you'll know that I'm not really in the business of takedowns of movies. I mean, I know it's fun to beat up on poorly made content, and to be clear, this film that I'm reviewing is not poorly made. But to be honest, recently I've kind of come to the decision that I'm not going to be mean toward the movies that I review, because I just don't really have it in me to make a career of talking down to people. I know I've done it before, and it can be funny sometimes, and believe me, I'm not going to totally dismiss the concept of critiquing films in a, comedic way, but I think the call-out type of content is going to be dead for the time being, because it doesn't really do anything but spread negativity that in my view is completely unnecessary. However, Netflix's Sea Beast deserves a close examination in my view, because this movie is very, very strange, and not all of that strangeness is good. Sea Beast was made by Chris Williams, who's worked on such films as Zootopia, Frozen, and Moana, so the guy clearly has talent. But at least, in my view, his newest film has some very confusing plot points. Now, I know a lot of people enjoyed this movie, and I'm certainly not here to take that away from anybody, but I would like to just take a closer look at the bizarre plot choices in this film and see if anybody maybe has an explanation for something that I'm not seeing here. The film takes place in a high fantasy kingdom called Three Bridges, a seaside nation that's plagued by attacks from gigantic sea monsters. James Crow, a mercenary hired by the King of Three Bridges, is tasked with hunting the sea monsters to extinction and has a personal vendetta against the Bluster, a large red sea monster that took his eye a long time ago. Along the way, he looks after Jacob, his adopted son, and teaches him to hunt monsters alongside him. So if anybody took high school English, you probably have some bells ringing in your head right now. In the story of Moby Dick, a sea captain named Ahab encounters a whale that takes his leg, and because of that, he becomes so obsessed with finding it and killing it that he ruins his whole life. After spending his entire life searching for the whale, Moby Dick, Ahab finally manages to spear it, but the rope catches around his neck and strangles him to death. This tale of obsession leading a character to meet a terrible fate is not too dissimilar from the topic of a video I'm currently in the process of making.
Enough! I'm telling that bird can't put me alive or dead!
But there is a problem with the metaphor in this movie, in that, well, it goes from being Moby Dick to then becoming How to Train Your Dragon like 45 minutes into the movie. Exactly like in How to Train Your Dragon, it turns out that the monsters aren't actually naturally aggressive, but rather have learned to be aggressive because the king is trying to kill them all without provocation. Okay, so I gotta figure where to start here. I guess we'll start with the Moby Dick part. The Moby Dick metaphor is entirely shattered toward the end of the film because James goes after the Bluster, mistakenly thinking that it killed Jacob. And indeed, all the way up until the end of the movie, he pursues the Bluster and nearly kills it, but then decides, after he discovers that Jacob is not dead, that, and this is the most confusing part, in spite of his motivation being to kill the Bluster because he thought that the Bluster killed Jacob, after he discovers that Jacob is indeed not dead, and Jacob tells him that the Bluster's not actually aggressive and that it helped him, James then proceeds to try to hack Jacob to death with a sword? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. Why would he want to kill Jacob? I thought he liked Jacob. I mean, he nearly sacrifices his own life to save him multiple times in the film, and he seems perfectly willing to die to protect him, but now he wants to murder him? But that's only one of the problems I have with the movie here. So obviously the whole humans are actually in the wrong twist is taken directly from How to Train Your Dragon. I mean, the character models even look pretty similar. But the twist in this film doesn't make any sense even within its own narrative. So in How to Train Your Dragon, it's revealed that the dragons only steal food from the Vikings because they have to feed their leader or else they'll be eaten. So the Vikings defend their food source by killing the dragons, and the dragons defend their lives by stealing the food. It makes sense. But in this movie, there is no coherent explanation whatsoever why the king wants to kill the sea monsters. The humans don't seem to gain anything from killing them, and it seems like they're only causing extremely unnecessary problems for themselves. The sea monsters don't have some useful substance to the humans, like oil or something they could use, so I don't understand how it profits the king to send hundreds of ships and soldiers to their doom and gain nothing from it. I've seen this movie twice, and maybe I missed a line of dialogue somewhere, but I can't for the life of me understand how this guy benefits from wasting thousands upon thousands of soldiers, dollars, and ships. I don't know. Like I said, maybe I've missed something. If I did, do let me know. But overall, Sea Beast isn't a terrible movie, but I doubt I'll ever watch it again, and I can't personally say that I'd recommend it. However, I will say, completely unprompted and unnecessarily, if you do want a really good story about people lost at sea in the same kind of time period that's also available on Netflix, and you're not easily scared, I very highly recommend Bad Traveling from Netflix's Love, Death, and Robots. It's much shorter, it gets to the point much quicker, and in my view, it's a much better story. Thank you for watching. I figured I'd put out a short video here just to let everybody know that I'm still here and still working on videos. I have a lot of plans for the coming months, and I'll be announcing them as they become relevant. In the meantime, the next video that I'll be releasing is on Charles Muntz from Up. But I want to make sure that I do as good a job as possible on that video, so it might just be a tad longer before that's out. After that, I'll probably make my next big project finishing my video on Dr. Horrible, which is in my opinion a vastly underappreciated masterpiece. But as always, leave a comment to let me know your thoughts, like the video if you liked it, or dislike the video if you didn't like it, and subscribe for more. That's all for now.